Have you ever walked into a building and just felt great? Or, the opposite, that weird headache or tiredness that just disappears the second you step back outside? Well, today we're diving into the science behind that exact feeling. Green buildings. And trust me, it's so much more than just a few solar panels. It's a total rethink of the spaces where we spend nearly all of our time. So let's get into it. I want to kick things off with just this one number, 90%. Just think about that for a second. What on earth do we spend 90% of our time doing?
Yep, you guessed it. 90% of our lives, on average, are spent indoors. In our homes, our offices, schools, you name it. The walls around us literally shape our world.
And that leads to a pretty big question, right? Are these spaces actually designed for our well-being? Or could they be silently working against us? This is the fundamental problem that green buildings are trying to solve.
So where do we even start? Well, not with the planet, actually. We start with us, with the people inside. Because the number one job of a green building, before anything else, is to be a healthy place for the people living and working in it. And this is a very real thing. It's actually called sick building syndrome. It's that feeling, the headaches, the fatigue, the itchy eyes, that all seem to fade away as soon as you leave one specific building. The building itself is what's making you feel sick.
I mean, think about it. We've all been there, right? That new paint smell or that new carpet smell. We might even think it's a good thing, but a lot of the time, it's actually a warning sign. That smell, it's often from something called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. These are basically chemicals that are off-gassing from materials right into the air you're breathing. Green buildings tackle this head-on by focusing on what's called indoor environmental quality, or IEQ. This means they use low VOC materials, they make sure there's plenty of fresh air circulating, and they even manage things like temperature, natural light, and noise. It's really a complete package for making an indoor space genuinely healthy.
Okay, so a healthy inside, that's the goal. But how do you actually build it? Well, it all starts with the building's anatomy, the actual materials you choose to put it together with.
And the philosophy here is super simple. It's all about the 3 R's. First, you reduce waste right from the get-go with smarter designs. Then, you reuse things that are still perfectly good, like old doors or light fixtures. And finally, for whatever is left, you recycle it, turning debris into a new resource instead of just trash.
And this is where things get really clever. Instead of just using all new stuff, green buildings have much better bones. They're built with steel that has tons of recycled content, wood that comes from responsibly managed forests, and they even mix industrial byproducts like fly ash right into the cement. Every single choice like this reduces the strain on our planet's resources.
All right, we've covered the structure, the bones. Now let's talk about the building's metabolism, how it uses energy. Because this is where green buildings can have a huge impact, not just for the planet, but for your wallet too.
So where is all our energy going? In a typical building, the vast majority is eaten up by just one thing, the HVAC system. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. That's the biggest energy hog by far. Get this, some studies show that up to 30% of the energy used in buildings is just plain wasted. So if you want to make a building more efficient, HVAC is absolutely the first place you look.
And to do that, you have to understand this one key idea, U value. All it is a measurement of how well something, like a wall or a window, stops heat from getting through. And here's the only thing you need to remember. The lower the U value, the better the insulation. And here's the perfect way to think about it. U value is basically a sweater for your house. A low number is like a thick, cozy wool sweater that keeps you warm. A high number? That's like trying to brave a snowstorm in a thin t-shirt. You definitely want the better sweater.
And look at the difference this makes in the real world. A standard old-school single pane of glass has a pretty high U value, around 5.8. But just by switching to double glazing, you slice that number in half. That's a massive amount of heat you're no longer losing. The energy savings are just huge. Okay, but what if you live somewhere hot and you want to keep heat out? For that, there's another number, the SHGC, or Solar Heat Gain Coefficient. The easiest way to think of this is like sunglasses for your windows. A low SHGC means the glass is great at blocking the sun's heat, which is exactly what you need to keep your air conditioning bills down. So we've looked at the people inside, we've looked at the building's energy use. Now let's zoom out and look at how a green building plays with the world around it.
One of the biggest problems in cities is something called the heat island effect.
You've got all this dark asphalt and all these dark rooftops just soaking up the sun's heat all day long and then radiating it back out at night. It makes the whole city hotter, which means we need, you guessed it, even more air conditioning.
So how do green buildings fight back? Well, instead of dark surfaces, they might use highly reflective materials or even install a green roof. Yep, a literal garden on top of the building. And look at the difference that makes. A normal roof just sends a flood of rainwater into the sewer system. But a green roof? It acts like a sponge. It soaks up the water, which reduces flooding and helps cool the building down, fighting that heat island effect at the same time.
This smart thinking applies to water too. It's way more than just using less. It's a whole cycle, the 4 R's. First, you reduce with efficient fixtures. Then you recycle wastewater right there on site. Next, you reuse that treated water for things like toilets or watering plants. And finally, you recharge the natural groundwater by collecting rainwater. It's a closed loop.
So we've seen all these amazing individual pieces: the healthy air, the smart materials, the efficient energy, the clever water systems. But what's the secret to making them all work together? Well, it's all in the blueprint.
And honestly, if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. A real green building isn't just a normal building with a few solar panels slapped on at the end. It's the result of what's called an integrated design process. That means the architect, the engineer, the energy expert, they're all working together from day one. They're making sure the building's sweater and its metabolism are in perfect sync. It's a complete, holistic system.
So, the next time you walk into any building, just pause for a second. Try to see beyond the walls and the windows. Think of it as a living system. Is it working with its environment, or is it fighting against it? Is it designed to make you feel good and healthy, or was that just an afterthought? The spaces we build end up building us. The only question is, what kind of future do we want to build?